Hey everybody, this is Mike Bono from the North Andover Athletic Association, and you are listening to the Nightly News Podcast, the show that brings you inside the lines of North Andover High School athletics. All right, welcome back to the Nightly News Podcast, everybody. Back here with my sidekick, Al Aperti. Al, what's going on?
Not much, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing great. When this airs, we will have finished the 11th annual Knights on the Run road race. Hopefully it's a success. Leading up, it seems like we're in good shape.
I think I can say it's our record-breaking fundraiser.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So looking forward to that. And the weather looks great. Long-range forecast, although, as Bill Belichick says, the weather never right. So who knows? Anyway, so want to introduce our guest for today's podcast, Ryan Burr from North Andover High School. Ryan is a special education teacher, but also is the unified basketball coach. Welcome, Ryan, to the Nightly News Podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. So for people who aren't familiar with unified basketball, can you just give a general overview before we talk about you?
Sure, yeah. Unified basketball is relatively new to North Andover High School. This will be the 6th year that we have it at the high school. And what it is it's an inclusive basketball program for students with intellectual and other varying disabilities to play basketball alongside their typically developing peers. So it's a combination of both those special ed students and their typical peers playing basketball together all out on the court at the same time and kind of helping each other in that sense. That's
great. It's awesome that we give every kid at the high school an opportunity to participate in athletics. And so how did you get roped into coaching basketball?
Well, so I guess if I go back a little bit, I didn't ever think I would be a basketball coach. Basketball is one of those sports I didn't play much growing up. I would play, with friends in the street and things like that, but I didn't play too much competitive basketball. But when I got to North Andover High School, Steve Nugent approached me with an opportunity to coach the unified basketball team, and I was familiar working with the special needs students, as those are the kids in my classroom. And I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to get into coaching. When I came to the high school, I always thought I would get into coaching. I thought it would more be like football or baseball or something like that. But this opportunity just came about, and it's been one of the best opportunities. I couldn't thank enough for it. It's been a great opportunity.
That's awesome. And you've been doing it for 6 years?
I've been doing it for 5 years.
The
first year I was there, I did not do it, but I've been doing it for 5 years.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into special education, because like, as I said, you are a special education teacher at the high school. Take us through your background.
Sure. I grew up in South Plymouth, Massachusetts, so not too far from here, down by the canal. That's far, yeah. I guess anytime you have to go through the city or anything like that, it's far, right?
Between June and September and Labor Day, it's far.
That's true. That is far.
And on top of it, if you grew up in the Merrimack Valley, you know the mindset of most people in the Merrimack Valley. Methuen to Bill Rick is far.
Yeah.
So Plymouth is like another world.
So that's a whole nother world for people around here. Yeah. So I grew up there. I played a lot of sports through, growing up and through high school and everything. In high school, I kind of focused in on football. And then I tore my knee my senior year, and I decided I wanted to keep playing football, but I didn't quite have the size to play at a competitive school, so I played at Bridgewater State Division III football there for a little bit and went to get my teaching license there. While I was there, I tore my knee again and decided that it wasn't worth having a hobble in my 40s to play Division III football, so I stopped football, and I got interested in this program called the Children's Physical Developmental Clinic at Bridgewater State. That's a program for kids with physical disabilities, along with cognitive disabilities. And I just fell in love with the program, fell in love with the kids, and that's kind of what got me into special education. So finished my degree there, went to work for a private day school that works with children and young adults with autism. Worked there for 6 or 7 years, and then came to North Andover High School. I met my wife at Bridgewater State, and she's from the Merrimack Valley, from Andover and North Andover. So I always knew that I'd end up this way. I wasn't super familiar with the area before I came up here, but one thing from the moment I stepped into North Andover High School, I fell in love with it. There were a couple other places I was looking, but it was North Andover High School first and foremost. So I was really fortunate to get an opportunity to become a special education teacher there, and then obviously with the unified basketball as well.
That's great.
Now, your degree is in severe disabilities? Is that?
I have an undergraduate degree in moderate disabilities and then a graduate degree in severe disabilities and applied behavior analysis.
Which is pretty rare. I'm in the field. I have mine in moderate, and not a lot of people go the severe route. What brought you to that?
I think just my work experience, that program that I talked about at Bridgewater, the Children's Physical Developmental Clinic, those kids would qualify under the severe end of the spectrum for their disabilities. And then going and working for the school that I worked at before, North Andover High School, those kids were also under the severe end of the spectrum for disabilities. And I just fell in love with working with those young adults and children. I've worked with every age range from 3 years old all the way up to 22 years old. Kind of focused in on the transition age of 16 to 22 here at the high school.
Sure.
But yeah, working with the kids, there's not much more that I found in life, things that are much more gratifying than working with those individuals and being able to help them achieve their highest levels of independence and gain some skills.
Yeah, that's great. And sometimes if I'm up at the track at the high school, you'll see the teachers taking the kids out, walking around the track, and I recognize a lot of them because they play Challenger baseball or Special Olympics soccer, and so they're getting out and about during the day. So can you just take us inside? For those of us, just take us inside the classroom for a special, a day in the life of the special education class.
Absolutely. What we do at the high school is we're focused on transition and building functional life skills and daily living skills and things like that. So what our goal is as the teachers is to get every kid who comes through our program to be as independent as possible, to reach their highest level of independence. Now, that's going to look different for every single student because every student's dealing with their own challenges and has their own disabilities. So for some kids, that may look like holding down a part-time job. For other kids, it may be working more towards a full-time job. For some kids, it may just be getting to a job. So it's a wide array of different things and challenges that we come across, but we're focused on building daily living skills and functional living skills like, can you do laundry? Can you make a meal? Can you keep a clean house? Can you take your medicine when you're supposed to take your medicine? Can those types of things that sometimes we take for granted on a day-to-day basis because our worlds get so busy. But for some of these students, it's a real challenge for them. So we're working to build them to get to that point where they can do that independently so they're not so reliant on their parents or caregivers or other people in the world like that. When they turn 22, a lot of the supports in the system go away. Mm-hmm. So that age of 22 is really critical for us to try build up as much independence as possible before that time.
That's interesting because when I did Challenger base, I don't know what it is about the age of 22. Maybe it's just the college level, but like the insurance, Little League stopped insurance for kids who were over 22.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what's so special about that
That's
age.
what was written into the federal law. So,
was it? Okay.
Yeah. So at age 22, the federal law says that no longer is the town or the school system in charge of supporting that student anymore. So, and a lot of things change. Insurance changes, federal funding changes. A lot of things change at the age of 22. It can be a really scary moment for parents and families. So, part of the job is to help the parents and families through that as well. Because it comes up fast. I have those conversations every year with the parents of a 16-year-old, and they're looking at me like 22. That's still so far down the road still, but it comes up very fast. Sure. And you want to have the students prepared as possible for those transitions. Yeah,
and so you talked about like maybe getting them jobs. Do you have a connection with local businesses? Like how does that work?
We do. We have a couple connections with some local businesses right now. Our biggest connection is Stacci's Pizza.
Yeah, Andrew Chartier.
Yeah, he was in my class for 5 years, and he's a rock star over there. He still goes there even at his new placement. Yeah, but the owner, Terry Holland, has been so great to our program. He allows us to go over. We go over just about every day. Our students work on things like setting up the dining area, cleaning the tables, folding pizza boxes, restocking items, things like that. So it gives them a great opportunity to practice some of the skills that they learn in school outside of the school setting, which is really critical. We talk a lot in our field about generalization of skills, and the skills that you learn in the school aren't really good skills to have unless you can do them outside of school when you graduate someday. So we really try to work on the generalization of those skills. We over the years, we've gone to the Stevens Estate. We go to Market Basket and do shopping for another program at North Andover High School, and we're going to be starting a job at some of the local school libraries as well for our students.
I mean, for a local, like we have a lot of businesses that have sponsored the NAAA, the Knights on the Run. For local businesses, like what types of what jobs do you think would sort of fit with what you're trying to accomplish at the high school?
So our students can do a lot, and they have a lot of really good skill sets. Clerical work is always a good thing to do, like filing and organizing and things like that. Any type of like cleaning or maintenance type work is usually a good job. Collecting things, organizing things, sorting. So those type of skills usually fit right into the skill sets of our students.
That's great. That's great. So getting back to unified basketball, tomorrow, which this will air a week later, but tomorrow is opening day for the unified basketball team. This is co-ed, right? It
is, yes.
Both male and female. And you open up in Andover tomorrow.
Yes.
Open up on the road. That's tough. That's a
on
tough.
the road against our crosstown rivals.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, going back to what you said about your wife, right? You said, well, she's from Andover, North Andover. I'm sure Al picked up on this. It's like, it's either one or the other, Ryan. Up
She
here in
would
the
say-
Merrimack Valley.
I
Like,
know. She lived in Andover until high school and then moved to North Andover. So she would say Andover through and through. But
Okay.
I always hold that to her. I poke fun with her a little bit about that.
How many kids do you have on the team this year?
So on the team this year, we have a total of 14 students, both athletes and partners. And real quick, I'll explain that because I'm going to use that term athletes and partners a lot. That's how Special Olympics and Unified Sports has chose to designate the participants. So our athletes are the students with intellectual and other varying disabilities, and the partners are the volunteers that they're typically developing peers. So total, I think, 14 did I say? Yeah, I think it's 14. It might be 15. Which gives us a good roster because on the court at any time we have 2 partners and 3 athletes on the court to make up the 5 positions in the basketball court. So the partners are really there to help coach the kids along. And every town does it a little bit differently, but on my unified basketball team, we don't really have the partners like take shots or anything like that. Sure. They're there to help the other kids. They're the athletes are the shot makers and the ones going up and down the court making the plays and everything like that. And I like to keep the emphasis on that. So our partners are there to help coach them along on the court, get them into the right position. And everything that we do, we're really working with the basic fundamentals of basketball. That's why my lack of basketball experience is too detrimental in this position. I certainly don't have the height to play basketball or anything like that, but I have a basic and general understanding of the game and how it's played and the rules and, the fundamental components and things like that. So we work on passing, chest passes and bounce passes. We work on defensive positioning, trying to get into the right place to stop a person going at the hoop. We'll work on rebounding and then, of course, shooting. One common theme is that a lot of our players like to take shots from like the half-court line or the three-point line. Everybody likes the long-range shots because of Steph Curry.
And Davis Randall, too.
And
Davis Randall would shoot from anywhere.
He would. And he made a lot of them, so I could never tell him no, but he wouldn't hesitate to pull it up from half-court, that's for sure. So we'll work on getting down closer to the hoop for layups and things like that and what a layup is. So we work on those things in practice. We have a weekly practice, and then the partners really take that to the game. There's only so much a coach can do from the sideline from a game, as you guys are probably familiar with. So the players on the court really have control of that. So I rely on my partners a lot during the game to make sure that kids are in the right position, they're doing the right things, and they're playing the way that they're supposed to be playing out there. So.
And let's just focus a little bit on the partners because
Sure.
we know that without partners, buddies, these programs don't exist. It's critical to the success of whether it be unified basketball, Special Olympics, or any of those programs. How do people volunteer? Obviously, I mean the season starts in October and probably runs through November. So you have sports teams, right? You get the fall sports teams that are going on. So who are the partners?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge to get partners just because people are unfamiliar with unified basketball as a whole.
Yeah.
So to get the regular ed high school students, to get them to know what unified basketball is and then have an interest in doing that and volunteering their time, I have to say the partners that we've had over the years are some of the most incredible kids that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. It really takes a special person to volunteer their time to help out in that manner. And especially when there's other sports going on and things like that, it can be challenging to get partners, but the ones that we do have are really, really special people. So the recruitment basically just goes on throughout the high school. We just had a meeting last week before school, and we were able to recruit some people through that, and then flyers and things like that. We're always looking to recruit more. So if any students or parents are out there listening to this, we never say no to help because it's hard to find help and reliable help. So we definitely take all the help we can get.
That's great. And if somebody from outside of the high school, can they volunteer too, or does it require Corey, or what's that process like?
So right now it's just limited to just the high school
Okay.
students. So outside of the high school doesn't work at this point. Maybe at some point we can continue to grow the program and we can get to that point. That would be great because, like I said, the more help, the better, and the more people that are involved, the better it is for everybody. But right now it's just limited to the high school students. So what we're working on now is building up the unified basketball program to be like a regular fall sport. Like when you see, football, field hockey, soccer, golf, all these fall sports come out, we want unified basketball to be one of those sports. And some towns, I have some colleagues who coach unified basketball teams and things like that. Some towns have really had some success with that. And I'm optimistic that North Andover is going to continue to grow this program and have a really great unified basketball program going forward.
That's great. Go ahead now.
How many games do you guys play?
So we typically play 6 games. This year we're playing 5 games. So it's a short season. It starts the first week of October, goes through October into the first week of November. And then we end the year with a jamboree. And the jamboree is great. It's like a big tournament. All the Merrimack Valley teams go. Andover's hosted it the past couple of years, but I think Lowell High School is hosting it this year. So at the beginning of November, we'll be over at Lowell for the jamboree. And we play shortened games. We play like 15-minute games as opposed to the 40 or 45-minute games that we play during the season. But you play 5 or 6 different teams, and they keep track of the scores and how many wins you have and everything like that. And the kids love it. They get to see old classmates or people that they've been playing against for the past couple of years, and they absolutely love it. So it's a lot of fun.
That's great. Yeah, I think I mentioned to you that I coach Special Olympics soccer on Sundays at the high school on the upper turf, and one of the things that I love about it, and one of the many things I love about it, is there are kids from Andover High School, Central Catholic High School, and North Andover High School, all there side by side, right? And then they play each other the next day or the next week on the field, and as much as they are rivals, like they're all there for a good reason. They're all good kids, good people, and it's very, it's nice to see. It's nice to see that the kids stepping up and volunteering, which is because, like I said, without them, the programs don't happen.
No, and it really has a way of bringing people together too. There's some of the athletes in our team and everything, like the first time they make a shot, that's such a big deal, and it's great to see the partners and the parents and the fans and faculty of the school who come to the games. Everybody gets so excited for that. For one of the starters on the varsity basketball team, that's not a big deal, but for one of these guys, it's a huge deal, and it really makes their day, makes their week, makes their world. So that's so gratifying, and it's such a great thing to see everybody coming together to support a good cause like that.
Do you know your home games to throw them out there for the people listening?
Our home games are Methuen, Chelmsford, and I'm blanking on the last one of the
dates?
year.
Are they?
Our first home game is next Tuesday,
Which
at 7 p.m.
It's at the 10th? No.
11th, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's next Tuesday at 7 p.m. at the North Andover High School gym. That'll be our first home game. And we're looking forward to a big event. Usually once a year we get a big home game. I'm not exactly sure which one that's going to be, but they advertise it a lot through the school. We get a lot of the students to come. A lot of the faculty comes. Officer Enright over at the school has gotten the North Andover Police Department and Fire Department to come, some town representatives. So it's a big deal, and the kids really love it. I know Bill has come and taped some of our games, and the kids can go back and watch that. Nice. And they think they're like superstars. Davis, for example, was comparing himself to LeBron James a couple of years ago. So those are great moments.
Yeah. And how do parents, like at the high school, how do they know about this? How do they sign up? How do they get their kids registered to participate in the program?
So information will come home to special ed students in my program and a couple of the other programs at the high school. So earlier in September, I sent information home about that and a flyer that goes home for sign up and everything like that. I guess we were looking for better ways to get the information out, to get our numbers up and everything like that. So I think this is a great opportunity, sitting down with you guys today to be able to talk about it a little bit, is a great opportunity to help people become more aware of what unified basketball is. And hopefully if somebody's out there listening thinking like, hey, maybe even if you're not in high school yet, because it is just for the high school right now, but maybe you have a middle school student or an elementary school student, like this is something to keep in mind for as they get older. And it's a great program and a great opportunity for them.
Yeah, I think it's something that Brian Downey, who does a great job with Special Olympics basketball, he took that over from Kathy Keith a few years ago. And Kathy can, we can send that out through Special Olympics soccer, and then through it was Challenger baseball. Now I guess it's Bambino baseball because they moved over to Cal Ripken or something. But anyway, just keeping that communication line open across all the different programs. And, we were talking to Steve Nugent back in August when we had him on about, other programs potentially coming to life, whether it be like a unified soccer. I think he said some schools do unified soccer, maybe unified baseball, and we do baseball, challenger baseball in town through the Little League, but perhaps through the school as well.
It would be great to get to that point at the high school where there's unified sports for these students to participate in every season. Right now, I know that Special Olympics is promoting during the winter season unified bocce, which is an interesting one. And then in the spring they have unified track. So a couple of years ago we were right on the footsteps of getting unified track going, and then COVID hit, and then everything kind of fell apart, and we haven't quite gotten the wheels in turn to get that started again. But hopefully this year we'll get some things going. And get unified track going again, because that's another great opportunity for the kids.
Yeah, and of course, you can't say it enough, but these things don't happen without people stepping up and volunteering and offering their time to make them work, and not just coaches, but students to help out.
Students for sure, and I got to give a shout out to the parents too, because I work with some phenomenal parents, and I really appreciate the efforts that they make. I know it's not easy to get over and get in there in time for practice pickup or drop off for games and things like that, just like any high school student. But I know it's a challenge sometimes, and for some of our students, when you interrupt their schedule, that can be a real challenge. Transitions can be challenging, so it's not always easy for the parents. So I really appreciate all the hard work that they put in for that.
Yeah. Do you coach alone, or do you have a help?
So over the past few years, I have coached alone. This year, I'm fortunate to have an assistant, Lauren Patton, on. She's going to be great. We had our first practice at the end of last week, and I'm really excited to have her on board. It's going to be great safety-wise to have another adult there with me for sure, but just to help along with the basketball and coaching and working with the kids. I'm really excited to have her on board.
What is the practice schedule like for the team? Like, how often do you guys...
We practice once a week on Fridays for an hour after school. So we practice from 2:15 to 3:15 in the gym right after school on Fridays. That seems to work the best to be able to keep the kids there right after school. It gets a little tricky with pickups and drop-offs and things like that. A lot of high school kids, by the time they're juniors or seniors at least, they have their license, they can drive themselves, they can coordinate with other friends to get rides and things like that. But due to the nature of some of the disabilities of our students, they aren't able to do those same things. So parents have to communicate a lot to help, get rides and things like that. But it can be a challenge sometimes. So that's what.
And is there anything? So we are on the North Andover Athletic Association board, right? And so what we do is we supplement sort of the athletic department. Is there anything that we can do to help, the unified basketball team? I assume you have uniforms. I assume I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that we can do, but if there is, don't hesitate to reach out to Steve or reach out to us, because we always, we raise money, but we want to, as hard as we try to raise money through fundraisers and this Nights on the Run race, we like to spend it too on the school, and so no better way to spend the money than on unified basketball team.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Steve mentioned this, but we talked about it. We are going to throw you guys a pizza party, I think, after one of your games.
Oh, awesome!
So that's one of the things that we're doing. But like Mike said, if there's anything else,
I think the biggest thing is just continuing to spread the word, and hopefully some people go to the games and we can get some attendance there, and people can see. I think once people go to the games and they see how great of an event it is, they really get hooked in. Before this, we were talking a little bit about the Wrestle Olympics and things like that. Like, those events are so great. They bring the community together. The students absolutely love them. And unified basketball is very similar to that. So just continuing to spread the word and having people come out to the games, I think, is the best way to support the program.
That's good. Yeah, I think maybe we need to talk to Steve about getting the schedule up on the Merrimack Valley Conference website. Because when people go in there, they can see everything that's happening that week, all the games for the different sports. And it would be awesome to be able to see unified basketball up there as a game, whether it be home or away. But anything else that you want to talk about regarding unified basketball that you want the community to know about? We've hit on a bunch of points, but,
No, I appreciate the time and you guys having me in here today. It's been great. And I think that as long as people continue to support programs, not just unified basketball, but challenger baseball, Special Olympics, things like that, it helps those programs grow, and it really gives new opportunities for these students. Sometimes these students' worlds can shrink a little bit as they continue to get older, and they don't have as many opportunities as some of their peers and things like that. So the more opportunities we can give them, the more chances they have to shine, and they have some really great skills and are some really great individuals. So I'd like to see that.
That's great. Well, Ryan, really appreciate you coming in here. Really appreciate and are thankful for what you do for the kids at North Andover High School. Without people like you, they wouldn't have an opportunity. So thank you for your efforts and focus on that. And best of luck this season.
Thank you.
We'll try to get to a couple games out there. And thanks again. So till next time, thanks everybody for listening, and we will chat with you next week.